Hello, everyone. My name is David Vidal. I'm Senior Consultant at CARSA, and I will be moderating this session on developing successful exploitation and sustainability strategies for digital innovation hubs. I hope you will enjoy the content we have prepared for you. We at CARSA we will see this more in details. At CARSA we've been working with digital innovation hubs, and we are partners of the EUH4D project, in which I'm playing the role of the task leader for the exploitation and sustainability strategies of the Federation, as well as the business and investment plan of the Federation, amongst other activities in which we are involved. Today we are going to talk about the digital innovation hubs. Okay, so the exploitation and sustainability aspects of digital innovation hubs are very important. We're talking about, let's say, relatively new organizations that are composed of different organizations as well, and they are working together to present and to offer different services to SMEs. So without entering into what we are doing, or at least without entering into a lot of details of what we are doing in the project and related to the Federation, that is something that yesterday Anna and Daniel presented in some of the sessions. What we are going to see today is these three presentations that you can see in the agenda. So the first one is about the experiment of CARSA working with DIHs. That will be presented by Marie BOURDON, Senior Consultant at CARSA. And then we will see general aspects that the DIHs are facing in general. And then we will have two particular examples from two DIHs. The first one will be presented by Jorge Galván, Director of CDHub in the Canary Islands in Spain. And the second one to be presented by Dominique Gorecki. He's the head of the Swiss Smart Factory in Biel in Switzerland, and they will talk about the cases, the lessons learned, and then we will have some time for questions and answers. So we'll have a kind of debate amongst all of us, and I also encourage you to use the questions and answers, the chat of the platform, so that you can also interact with the speakers and with us. So this is everything from my side. I will give the floor to Marie. Let me see if I can stop sharing. And yeah, there we are. So we will have after each of the presentations. Sorry, I forgot to mention. Maybe if there are some questions, maybe we can address them depending on the time that it takes, or if not, we can address all the questions at the end in the questions and answers session. So Marie, the floor is yours.
All right, thank you, David. So good morning, everyone. My name is Marie BOURDON, and I'm a senior consultant at CARSA. I'm very pleased to be here today with you and to discuss the challenges in the development of exploitation and sustainability strategies for digital innovation hubs. Through my presentation, I will give a short introduction on who we are at CARSA and what is our experience with hubs. Then I will go through the exploitation and sustainability strategy, what it means for the hubs. Then I will go through the challenges, the main challenges that are encountered by digital innovation hubs and possible solutions to solve them. And finally, some recommendation and an overview of some opportunities available for you to work on the sustainability strategy. So to start with CARSA, so we are a strategic consulting firm focused on innovation, technology, and internationalization. We are based in the Basque Country and with offices around the world, and we've been working for over 30 years. We've been working with digitalization hubs since the very beginning in 2016 when the European Commission started with the launch of feasibility studies to establish hubs. From that experience, we've been involved since then in many projects and in initiatives. We've been working with more than 100 hubs, be it through projects or on one-to-one individually. We have a team of more than 10 international coaches, and we are involved in 8 major initiatives. So we, as David mentioned, we are part of EUH4D Data project, working on the exploitation and sustainability strategy of the Federation. We are also involved in another key initiative running at the moment, which is the World, in which we are providing support to digitalization hubs through the DIH Academy. I will come back to this at the end of the session as part of the ongoing opportunities. And we've been also involved in different projects, DHelp, which was a coaching and mentoring program to support hubs in developing their business plans and business model, in the DIH network, which was the development of a network of hubs focused on intelligence, artificial intelligence. And this network, the project ended, but the network is still live, and we are still holding a session to work with hubs and to make this network sustainable. So this is an overview of our experience with hubs. Then I would like to highlight some statistics. They are taken from the World project, in which we launched a questionnaires to the hubs, and we got from the 25 answers we got, we came with these percentages. So what's interesting to notice is that most of the hubs are made of a consortium of partners of different organizations. So that's very important to take into consideration when developing the sustainability strategy, because this is a real challenge to bring different partners together and to see how to maintain this collaboration. It's also very interesting to see that 80% of the hubs have a business plan, which means that still 20 of them did not work on the business plan. 64% of them are monitoring their activities through KPIs. So this is a good number, but still there is room for improvement for the rest of hubs. And 88% have developed an action plan. So this is very important for the hubs, and all of them should have already been working on this. What is also very important when we look at the sustainability of hubs is the collaboration with other hubs and learning from each other. Some numbers, some interesting numbers, that 56% of the hubs are unable to satisfy their customers with their in-house services and competencies. So they will need to look into the services of other hubs and to define how to collaborate with them. The main obstacle for the collaboration are the lack of resources, be it time or people. Most of the hubs are looking to collaborate with hubs with complementary characteristics, so similar hubs than as theirs. So these are a few numbers just to give you an idea of what the situation at the moment. And what is very important for hubs to define their strategy is to understand what sustainability means for them. So here we're talking about financial sustainability, and to be able to survive after public funding ends. It is also very important to engage with stakeholders, regional, national, or international stakeholders. It is key to set KPIs, so KPIs for the services, for the communication, for impact. All these KPIs will allow the hubs to monitor their development and see where they should improve. In line with these KPIs, it is important to track progress and to report regularly, so to be able to take action when it is necessary, and also very important to collect feedback and to improve continually. As part of the challenges that we've encountered working with hubs, so through project or individually, well, when we look at the main internal challenges, one of them is the partners' engagement and commitment. This is very challenging, in particular when hubs are made of a consortium of partners. And what is very important to do is to talk, to engage, and to build trust over time, but also to have a consortium agreement in place with the different partners, highlighting what is the role of each of them, what are their responsibilities, and that everything is very clear for everyone. So you will ensure that the relationship and the collaboration will work over time. One of the challenges, of course, is also the service offer. What is important is that most of the partners of the hubs, they already have their own service offer. So how to include that in the service offer of the hub, how to develop new services, complementary services from what exists today. And what is very important is to keep on developing the service offer. So as soon as a hub has a first service offer, this service offer should be flexible and should be developed over time. Also, one of the changes is DIH business model and business plan, and what is key here to survive and is to be flexible and adapt over time. And it is very related to the financial aspect of the hubs. And what is very common here is to have a mix of funding sources, so public funding, but also private funding, and to, over time, to slowly increase the part of private funding and reduce the public funding part. If we have a quick look at the main external challenges, so it is very important for the hubs to target relevant customer groups. And for that, it is key to analyze the customer's needs continuously. So be it through a digital maturity assessment tool or other tool in place in your region for your hub. It is also challenging to have the regional, national, and international stakeholders engagement. So it is very important to join national and international networks to establish collaboration. There are many existing networks at the moment where you can get to learn from other hubs. You can exchange knowledge, get to know about best practices to ensure the sustainability of your hubs and to avoid the mistakes that have been made by other hubs. So this is very important. Finally, the dissemination and communication. So you really need from the very beginning to communicate and disseminate results and achievements. Referring to that, I'm really thinking of once you start launching the test before invest services, well, to promote them on your website, to provide examples of what has been done for other customers to get inspired and to come to you to receive support. So when designing the exploitation and sustainability strategies of digitalization hubs, what is very important is to start working on this strategy from the very beginning. So as soon as the hub is operational, it should already have the view of what will be next, and to have a clear action plan. The strategy should also be updated continuously. So it's not a static document, but a more living document. And for that, you should take into account internal and external threats and opportunities that are available in the environment. So about opportunities, I would just like to quickly highlight a couple of opportunities for the hubs to start working on their sustainability. So as part of the EU Hubs for Data project, so as you probably know by now, if you've been attending the sessions from yesterday and this morning, so EU Hubs for Data project is building a European Federation of Data Innovation Hubs. And this federation at the moment is open for new Innovation Hubs to join this federation. So there is a call open at the moment, and participating in this call, you will receive funding, and you will be part of a big federation of data-driven innovation hubs. So you will get to know from others. You will be able to exchange knowledge and to learn from the reference hubs that are around at the moment. And the deadline is on the 15th of June. And another interesting project for you. So as I was mentioning, DWorld. So it's the objective of DWorld is to accelerate the update of advanced digital technologies by European manufacturing SMEs in all sectors. And for that, we provide support for digitalization hubs to develop and to scale up through the DIH Academy, and we're also providing funding for the hubs to start implementing the Test Before Invest services. So by carrying out experiments, innovative experiments with SMEs. So there is currently also an open call, a call open at the moment with a deadline of 15th of July, in which you can get up to 95,000 euros for carrying out an innovative experiment with an SME. And by joining the network through this opportunity, you will get access to more tools and training for the hubs to develop and scale up. And there are also some activities that are open to all interested parties, such as the DIH Academy webinar, which is organized on the 15th of June. And it's about designing user-centered services for private and public sector. And as you understand by now, this is very important for hubs to ensure that the services provided fits the need of their regional customers. So with that, I'm reaching the end of my presentation. Thank you very much for your attention. I hope that was interesting for you. And I will be very pleased to answer any question if there are any. Thank you.
Thank you, Marie. I think it has been a very interesting presentation, introducing some of the ideas that we will probably see during the presentations of Jorge and Dominique afterwards, talking about general things. So, for example, the statistics. For me, what is interesting to see is that 56% of the DIHs, according to the data we have, is need to collaborate with other DIHs. So we know right now that also the European or the call for the European Data Innovation Hubs is going to be launched in the next days or weeks probably, and the definition of all these aspects is something that is mandatory and is requested by the Commission. So this is interesting to see that at least the DIHs that are with whom we've been working for the moment, they know that this has to be coped somehow, but still there is a huge need for them to collaborate in order to offer the services that the SMEs, the possible clients may need. No, I don't know if you can maybe give us a very brief answer on how are the DIHs addressing this issue. I mean, because in general, I think the most typical activity that they are doing is just contacting with other DIHs, but I don't know if there are something more detailed or on how they are addressing this situation?
Well, at the moment, a lot of hubs are part of already existing networks, so they are involved in different networks and initiatives, and they are building collaboration with hubs that they already know. So they are collaborating, establishing collaboration based on trust and of the knowledge they have from collaborating already in other projects. So this is very important to establish collaboration, to have trust. And what is also interesting to see is that most of them are looking for hubs that are similar to themselves. So they are really replying to the needs of their regional customers. And so they are aligned, and they need to complete their service offer by collaborating with other hubs.
I see. Okay, so that's very interesting. So I would also like to highlight the different challenges you have identified in your presentation. We will probably now see particular examples on how the two hubs that are going to present right now are addressing these challenges. So we can probably discuss more about this in the Q&A session. I would also like to highlight from your presentation the idea of the academy from DIH world, which is something that will probably help a lot the DIHs to address the different challenges. So for interested DIHs, you can of course apply to the open call and present an experiment and be part of the community. But even if you are not successful, you can also be part or be involved in the project with at a certain level of activity as part of this academy. Okay, so thank you, Marie. So let's move on to the next presentation. So Jorge. There you are.
Hi.
Hello. So the floor is yours.
I'm going to share my screen. Can you see that?
Now we see. Yeah.
Okay, good. So first of all, good morning to everyone, to all the attendees who are following this session today. Thanks to you, David and CARSA, for inviting us as a Digital Innovation Hub, which is known as CDHub, to be part of this event, this session today dedicated to exploitation and sustainability in general for digital innovation hubs. We'll try to give, in our opinion, which are the main insights or inputs, tips in order to achieve that kind of sustainability and exploitation objectives which are expected to be achieved by digital innovation hubs at the moment as they are conceived. And I will try to present our case, our CDHub, and how we are approaching new strategies to become an European digital innovation hub in that restrictedness call, which is going to be launched very soon, as you, David, mentioned. As a digital innovation hub, just for you to know us, we are located in the Canary Islands. We are the Canary Islands Digital Innovation Hub. Our acronym is CDHub, as you can see. We are focused on different, what for us are the main or the strategic relevant sectors and industries here, which are contributing to our local and regional economy in the Canary Islands, which are, of course, tourism. We are also pretty much based on focused on blue economy initiatives and projects, and we also touch in a lower level, but we also deal with a manufacturing industry, and whatever is related to the services industry. So to start, according to different European studies and also based on our experience as a hub, we'd like to stress that the added value of a digital innovation hub over normally other kind or type of regional organizations has to include at least some of the following aspects, what I have collected in this first slide, which for us are key and strategic somehow for their successful exploitation in the regional markets. So first of all, acting as a one-stop shop for companies and providing kind of a getaway to specialist platforms and infrastructure. And this has to do that we must intend to be known as the main regional mechanisms in whatever relates to digitalization, digital transformation, and in general digital needs that the companies and especially the SMEs can rise in this field. Hubs must also possess a significant know-how spanning across different technical disciplines and between technology and not always technological areas. We must take into account that digitalization is not only about technology itself, even though it's the core part of this big domain, but it also has to do with some other not so technical areas where the hubs also must show capacities and competences and expertise in general, which are related to fields such as business, finance, law, IPR, etc., etc. The ability to market themselves and proactively identify relevant customers for their services. And this, I would say, hubs must take into account this, especially in their initial stages and phases when they are maybe not fully operational, but in a kind of initial preparation phase, because they are not so known in their own local ecosystems, and they must not, let's say, expect that the companies and SMEs approach to them in a natural way, and in order to compensate and balance that initial lack that they could have, they must be proactive in that sense and try to reach what are going to be, in the end of the day, to be their final customers and clients in their regional markets. Also, they must have the ability to speak the language of SMEs, businesses, and really understand what are the real needs in the market. And this has to do with the fact that normally we are used to think that and to launch somehow complex service offers, and this normally the SMEs are going to raise some other needs, which in many cases are going to be not so much complex, okay? And we have to be prepared for that and launch our service offer and portfolio of services according to those real needs of SMEs at the moment. Also understanding, we need to have an understanding, a complete understanding of business models and business transformation, and being able to help companies transform. And we must know that digitalization and digital transformations is not only, as I already mentioned, about technology and digital solutions, but also about how the companies try to adapt their traditional models to this general context where we are surrounded of a lot of resources and digital means, and try to adapt to that regional environment in order to be able to serve our customer in a more proper way and being more competitive in that general and global market. Making a better use, as I said, of those digital surrounding means and resources, elements in general. Also having the ability to work with companies at all levels of digital maturity, including offering low-tech transfer to companies, which are normally lower in that maturity, technological related maturity curve. the ability to broker between the needs of industry and relevant technology provider in an independent way. And this has to be, as we as a hub have been, we are increasingly involved in different, for example, experiments in order to help SMEs and companies to test with the technology that they are finally going to implement and uptake within their business operations, okay? And they normally need to someone to act as an intermediary between them as a final user of the technology with the proper technology provider that normally they don't know, and we act as a broker in that sense in order to help them identify which could be not only the best digital solution, but also the best digital technology provider within the region. Also, the ability to assess current and future skills needs. This is obvious, and this is very important in what has been highlighted by the European Commission during these last years, since the concept of digital innovation hubs was launched. Okay, everything which has to do with capacitation, training, and upskilling in general within the digital domain at all levels within our ecosystems, public administrations, private sectors, etc. And finally, we need to be able to be good providers of funding, or at least facilitating access to funding from any kind of external source. Then we understand that many of these aspects need to be somehow considered in the hub's service offer and portfolio of services, and its normally operating characteristics in order to be sustainable over time. Jumping now into our case as CDHub, okay, I'd like to explain how we have evolved as a digital innovation hub along the last years, and therefore getting to a higher, let's say, higher level of maturity in our strategy and exploitation plans. So in this sense, we were trying to give you a little bit of history. We were created around, not created, but launched as a digital innovation hub within our region. Our concept as a hub promoting digitalization in our region was launched in 2014. Then in the following year, the next year, we were able to access a mentoring program, which was launched by the umbrella, the initiative I4SMEs. In Europe, we had the opportunity to be one of the first digital innovation hubs in that time within the domain of manufacturing. First hubs to be mentored in order to refine, not refine, but to establish, to create, to define which was going to be our first business plans and actions plans in order to start launching our first activities and services in the region of the Canary Islands. And then the next year, we were in 2016, we were officially, let's say, launched. We started to establish our first structure of core partners that have been evolved during this last year, as we can see in the next slide I'm going to show you. And in 2017, we entered into that European catalog for digital innovation hubs in Europe, where we initially were considering to be in a preparatory phase. But since I would say 2018, we've been considered a fully operational digital innovation hub in the European environment. Then we started participating in different European initiatives and projects dedicated more and more to digital innovation hubs, some of them being considered as a more or less mature hub. In that sense, we were selected to support some other European hubs to start preparing, in some cases, those business and exploitation plans, and in some others to help them refine what they had defined in the previous years. And we started also participating in different experiments and European more R&D and innovation related projects, where we've been able to start helping our local SMEs in that transition to digitalization and the uptake, a proper and adequate uptake of digital solutions within their businesses. Then we in 2018, we started signing our first cooperation agreements, not only with regional and national hubs, but also at a European level. And now we are in the phase of preparation for this new goal that's going to be launched in order to be considered and get the kind of label of a European Digital Innovation Hub. And for that, as a consequence of our this process and our preparation for this new restricted European goal that we are going to face really soon, this is the structure that we are trying to build. We've been successful in building this kind of a structure that I wanted to bring today to this session to be presented to you all as an example of how we are configured, trying to put together what we think are all the more strategic and relevant stakeholders and actors within our region to be part of our structure as a hub and the provision of services in our market, at least considered as the core partners within that structure. We can see there are different, our two main universities in the region of the Canary Islands and other research and technology centers, normally known as competence centers, who provide us with their expertise and access to advanced facilities to industry. And we also have within that big structure, complex, sometimes structure, private companies, not only small, but in some cases large, okay, which are able to offer us as a hub to be coordinated and to approach our market jointly, offering useful products, services, and in general technologies for the digitalization of processes, products, and services of our final clients. We also count on the presence of incubators and more oriented entities more oriented to incubation and acceleration, helping our local startups to grow, not only grow, but also scale, if that is the case. We also count on the presence of clusters, the main clusters in our regional ecosystem, cluster organization, and not only clusters, but also industry associations, which represent individual companies, which and also from our understanding play an important role with respect to the innovation of which are our main sectors. And then we also count on the support, which is really important, from our local authorities and our regional government, who is aware, of course, from the very first moment of the importance of digitalization and develop their smart specialization plans and policies accordingly to what we are doing as a digital innovation hub, and is supporting us not only strategically speaking, but also providing some funds for some first pilot projects that we are going to launch very soon. I mean, we have been working for a long time within that domain, but not receiving directly regional funds from our regional government. And then altogether in that kind of complex structure are trying to cover those 5 main technological domains, which has to do with the main technological topics that the European Commission is trying to promote, and especially because we are considered to have competences, capacities, resources, and expertise somehow in every of those technological domains, which for us are artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, high-performance computing based on important resources for an important supercomputing that we have located and installed here in the Canary Islands, and which is somehow underexploited in what has to do with the business applications and use of that kind of resource on the side of our business and private sector. Then we also cope with advanced digital skills, what I mentioned before, capacitation in the digital domain in general, and of course the interoperability of all those previous technological domains and digital transformation in a horizontal manner. This is another potential overview of how we are configured. Okay, our structure is thought and the approach where we are trying to follow in order to achieve that kind of exploitation in our local and regional markets, and try to achieve over time the sustainability of this kind of model that we have built in the last years, in order to have to reach some higher levels of sustainability, as I have mentioned. So we can see an internal, let's say, layer, okay, where we can see what are our main international scientific resources, okay, which are mainly focused on the astrophysics domain and also on the everything what has to do with blue economy in general, not only renewable energies, which are key for us, okay, but also some other blue economy related domains like biotechnology, for example. Then we come into some more external layers where we try to position and locate what are considered our main technological resources. Okay, we there find other important competence centers as Innovalia, ITER as our main technology related center. Some others more focused, as I said, on blue economy in general, or the Institute of Technology for the Canary Islands, which cover in a horizontal way many other technological domains. And then jumping to more external layers, we found everything which has to do with resources more dedicated or assigned to promote entrepreneurship within our region, and where we have different technology parks, okay, and as I mentioned before, entities more related or focused on promoting and helping, supporting incubation and acceleration of technology-based startups in our region. And then we come to the more external layer, is where we defined what we called our strategic vectors, and that has to do with the blue economy on one side, the ICT in general, promoting ICT technologies in a more general way and horizontal way. Then the vector which is more related and connected to everything which is happening in that European context, and for what we are really connected from our very initial phases as a hub, and then everything, the vector, the strategic vector, which has to do with the impact of our activities and services to our final clients and customers, and especially the SMEs. So I would say that from what we have learned through our activity in these few but intense years, I would say, and fully in line with different conclusions from European expert studies and working groups, which are managed from the European Commission, we agree that the hub and its operation may be considered sustainable over time when the hub has a diverse service portfolio that directly addresses the needs of industry within the region. Okay, we don't want to think about too complex services, but those really addressing what are the real needs of the SMEs within those specific and strategic sectors that we are mainly focusing on. Then has a visible physical presence. Okay, we are really known in the region where the hub is acting, working closely and successfully with other actors as part of our regional ecosystem, and trying not to, for example, duplicate services, but acting in a complementary way to what other key actors are doing, and trying to somehow enrich that regional ecosystem to support and address as the best possible way what are the real needs of digitalizations in the companies. the hub must be proactively approached by companies and SMEs from within the region for support and advice as well. I have already highlighted this point in the previous slides. We must somehow see that a local entrepreneurial culture is intending to appear, and it's possible to facilitating to retain local talent in our local region, and this has to be with the promotion of that. It's a field where we are strongly working in different European and national projects, trying to promote a culture that has to do with entrepreneurial and entrepreneurship in relation to digitalization. Then also our territory is, we can see that the territory where the hub is acting is becoming a magnet of attraction for companies to settle themselves there and not trying to migrate to some other European regions. This is also important for a region like the Canary Islands due to their specific particularities and considerations. Then within the sustainability is successfully achieved when the hub actively engage with other hubs in other regions, okay, not only national but European, as also David and Marie has been highlighting, either as a recipient or as a provider of services, trying to complement and to be able to reach those other competences and capacities and technological resources in general, and expertise knowledge that we are not able to cover with our own means. And then finally, but not least, is financially self-sustaining, okay, based on normally a hybrid business model that combines public and private financing. This last point I would like to highlight because it needs to be stressed, since the final perspective of the sustainability is obviously really important and fundamental. So I would say that we know that the hubs can work according to different business models, combining public funds, membership fees, for example, or other kind of commercial incomes. But in the end of the day, a concrete funding mix of public and private funding and a group of different funding instruments, I would say, for the development of SME, are required for the hub to remain sustainable, financially speaking, over time. And indeed, we can say that sustainability is not static normally. And here we can say it evolves with the market and industry requirements, really. And here is where a hub needs to adapt, continuously adapt itself accordingly and provide the right type of services which are really needed. So the business models need to be customer demand driving, what we normally call customer demand driving, and flexible enough to address different scenarios that we could be facing over time. Finally, and I don't know, David, how I'm managing the time assigned to me. Finally, from how the hubs have been evolving in these last years, I would say we can highlight some areas of what we consider good practices, which are also important as potentially guiding elements in order to better define those exploitation and sustainability plans in the regional markets. First point I like to stress is the trust building and any other kind of adequate support. And here, for a hub to succeed, the hub must build trust and keep what we call trustful relations with actual and potential clients. And also to manage this, a hub must start from industry needs, identifying who its target groups are and what kind of services offer is needed to digitalize them. Also, sometimes also, I would say piloting, okay, pilots can be a good example, a good practice, as I mentioned, for example, testing their services with different companies and therefore refining the relevant target groups, appropriate services, the way of delivering those activities within their markets. Also, the hub also needs to acquire knowledge about good and useful technical opportunities, technology providers, and other type of potential partners, and also about different forms of funding options, which is really key for them normally, including here, for example, any kind of support related to submission of application to the European framework programs or any other national or regional calls. Then we have the point related to adequate service delivery network. And here a hub, I would say, hub should build the right type of service offer adapted to the needs of its target beneficiaries, okay? Normally trying to clarify its role in relation to other regional actors that might be offering similar service. What I mentioned before in terms of avoiding duplication of services. And this should not lead to create any new organization duplication resources and efforts in that sense. Here, building a complementary mix of partners in the consortium running a hub is I would say, a prerequisite for its success. And both to set up a comprehensive offer as a one-stop shop concept that we highlighted before, and then also try to keep prices down by cost sharing with any other kind of regional existing actors. Then try to promote and launch attractive services, because most have normally a fixed range of services that they provide, and at the same time a hub should be flexible enough and work with experimentation and co-creation to meet the complexity of company needs, adapting itself continuously to new company needs over time. And for example, here there are some hubs that engage with companies to exploit attractive opportunities by, for example, jointly delivering innovative digital solutions through public or private procurement. And in some other case, we can find in this environment some other hubs which organize events, for example, where they present societal challenges that they try to cover and for which they try to seek solutions. Then the financial model aspect, which is, as I already explained, which is key and crucial in order to achieve that long-term sustainability of a hub. And we try to think that it is essential to keep on track actively identify and use different funding sources. Normally, the DIH managers need to consider carefully how to build up a proper funding mix of their planned activities and their action plans in order to become sustainable and to be exploitable in the market. And then finally, the communication, communication in order to engage, how to engage successfully with SMEs. And here digital innovation hubs must use multi-channel strategy. We would recommend a multi-channel strategy, normally combining a mix of traditional channels that they are normally more used to launch. Perhaps for those companies that are yet not so digitalized or are less mature in relation to digital competences, together and successfully combined with other online means like social media and any other kind of digital related good practices in relation to communication. This is all on my side. I don't know if you have any additional, or you may have any questions or you want to leave them for the Q&A session, David.
Okay, Jorge, thank you. Now we are a bit out of the agenda, but I think it was a very interesting and detailed presentation on what you've been doing in the Canary Islands, and you have touched probably the main points that are worrying all the DIHs at this moment. So I think it was also interesting to allow you to explain your point of view, and we can come back maybe to some of those aspects afterwards. Of course, just a very small detail. A priori, it looks easy for the Canary Islands to attract companies. No, this is at least when looking this from the rainy Basque Country. Okay, but we can talk about this afterwards. So thank you, Jorge. So we move on to Dominique. Yeah, here you are. So Dominique, the floor is yours.
Hello, thank you very much, David. Yeah, from the beautiful Canary Islands, we are moving now to cold Switzerland. I'm going to introduce to you the Swiss Smart Factory, the first digital innovation hub in Switzerland. And along my interactive presentation, I would like to showcase here and there how we have achieved sustainability, or at least how we are on the way to achieve sustainability, because that is, I would say, a never-ending story. But yeah, let me start first with introducing the location to you. We are based here in the city of Biel. It's the city of Biel in the canton of Bern. And I by myself, I arrived here 5 years ago from Germany, and I was surprised by how much real manufacturing industry we find here in the close proximity. I couldn't have imagined that. And so here we have, of course, watchmaking, but watchmaking is connected to precision industry. There's also the tool making industry, and also watchmaking has evolved forward to medical device technology. And of course, now with Industry 4.0, we see also more and more companies engaging in digital businesses. There are a lot of young and creative startups here in the region that also focus on these new type of business models that are enabled by digital technologies. So per se, it's a region that is very much industrialized since all the history. And now also this region, of course, is also experiencing challenges with the digital transformation. We have, as a digital innovation hub, and that's only to start, done a survey last year asking our SMEs, because SMEs are representing the backbone of the Swiss economy as they represent the backbone of the European economy in general. And we have asked our SMEs, how familiar are you with digital transformation? How familiar are you with the fourth industrial revolution? Where are you in the process of adopting these technologies? And just to give you this short overview, you see 60% of the SMEs are not very familiar with the concept. Over 80% of the companies state that they have challenges in investing enough resources and time into digital transformation. Many companies, 40% exact, do not even have a digitalization strategy. So there is a lot to do. And although Switzerland is a very competitive and highly innovative country, still we have a lot to do when it comes to the digital transformation. And and I always try to explain this with a simple figure, saying we're transforming actually thanks to new technologies, but also because of the changing market demands, transforming from traditional manufacturing towards smart factories. And to provide help to the companies to transform to smart factories, we have established the Swiss Smart Factory Digital Innovation Hub. I will tell you a little bit more about our journey of the last 5 years, and then I would like first but to introduce to you where we are located exactly, because the Swiss Smart Factory Digital Innovation Hub is part of the Switzerland Innovation Park Biel-Bienne. Switzerland Innovation Park Biel-Bienne is one of 5 innovation parks in Switzerland. They have been founded 2015 with the goal to bridge the gap between the universities and the academic research and the industry. And that's exactly what we do. Now, we are located in different locations in Switzerland, and we provide engaging and a vibrant ecosystem, starting from applied research, going into also supporting businesses with incubator programs, with mentor programs, with experts that we offer. We have infrastructure, laboratories, tool shops, fab lab environments that we can offer to the companies in our region. And these can be startup companies, but these can also be established companies, SMEs. And last but not least, we offer also, of course, rental space for these companies, from co-working to closed offices and laboratories, which these companies can then rent to establish their activities here in Switzerland, here in the canton of Bern. The Swiss Smart Factory is embedded into this innovation ecosystem of the Switzerland Innovation Park. Swiss Smart Factory itself was founded 2017, and we have received a seed funding by the regional government. The seed funding is relatively decent, around 500,000 Swiss franc. And with this seed funding, we have the mission, or we had the mission, to establish a network and a partnership program with the industry. So for Switzerland, it is really important that we achieve sustainability early, financial sustainability quite early, because the federal government and even the regional government, they are not willing to invest, and they are not even allowed to invest long-term into such innovation infrastructures. So the only way for us to survive will be to find additional revenue sources, and that's what we're doing. So 2017 we started, and we came up also the year later with a membership program, whereby now more than 60 companies have joined, and these companies are paying a large part of our services and activities. 2018 was then also the year that we have joined the EU Digital Innovation Hub catalog as the first digital innovation hub in Switzerland. And we have started to build demonstrators and first projects with the industry since 2017. But we started, we realized we need a gravitation point. We need something that engages all of or most of our partners, and at the same time is unique in Switzerland and even beyond. And that is why we started the so-called Lighthouse Project 4.0 in the year 2019. This project is a multi-vendor production line that we are building with all our partners, and that we are continuously extending. It's also part and involved in some EU projects. It's a center part for the DEMOFAC project, for example, and it will help us actually to attract industries and create interesting projects with different stakeholders. We are engaged in EU projects. 2020 we started also with the DIH World project that we have heard of before. And what is interesting, we are currently celebrating an important milestone, because we just moved into our new facility, into the new building that you just saw before in the architectural design. And with that, we will also, of course, extend our services, and we are even more easy to reach, and we have more facility and room for our partners to offer. We are prepared to be a digital innovation hub since the start of the Swiss Smart Factory. We would like also to join the new initiative of a European Digital Innovation Hub. We are still not sure if Switzerland will be fully associated to this program. So there's still a question mark for what's going to happen in this direction in the next years. But other than that, of course, we are also aiming at new important topics. Circular economy is something that we are addressing now in the manufacturing context more and more. Shared production concepts using Gaia-X. We want to be also the central Gaia-X hub in Switzerland. So we are starting currently a POC with Siemens and other companies on Gaia-X. And also we are applying for a cybersecurity program here in Switzerland to become a flagship for cybersecurity and manufacturing for Switzerland. This is a little bit the outlook from the topical topical side. Here you see the architectural design of the Swiss Smart Factory, and this is still a work in progress. We are just moving into our new facility. You see here the machines are set up. You see here just recent pictures we have taken the last days. We're bringing in our equipment, and we're extending our equipment here. For us, it's very important to have physical equipment on which our partners can demonstrate their technology. These partners are mainly technology providers, and where end user partners can come and experience what the technology can actually do and what it can't do. So we would like to inspire the people with tangible demonstrators. So who are these companies that are behind the Swiss Smart Factory? Here you see we have small and large companies, startup companies partly, but also local and international companies. So it's very mixed. But as I said, it's mainly the technology provider part that become member and that is using our infrastructure and helping us to maintain and grow our infrastructure. And then we have the end user partners that come and visit us and use our infrastructure to start projects with us, exploit our expertise in this area. So the network is the Swiss Smart Factory is built as a neutral platform that coordinates the innovation activities among these different partners, and of course that also increases then the public relations and visibility and supports marketing activities of our partners. The basic idea behind the partnership model is to share the costs and combine the knowledge between the partners, and also to enable even new business relationships, for example, between a startup that is looking for a bigger company that helps to adopt their technology and help to grow the technology of the startup. So both sides will benefit, and generally we see there is a win-win for us and for the companies in engaging in these type of networks. Collaboration is key, and collaboration also leads finally here to the sustainability, because these partners are committed to the Swiss Smart Factory. They pay a yearly membership fee, and they provide expertise and also technology for our platform. The topics of the Swiss Smart Factory in general, as we have them stated today, from smallest sensors that we develop to the networking of these sensors, to the smart human-machine interfaces and artificial intelligence, collaborative robots, finally also going into the direction of a workplace of the future using augmented and virtual reality. So this is a little bit the spectrum of topics in which we are addressing, which we are addressing. What we do basically in terms of activities is we inspire and we demonstrate with our demo center. Then we have concrete development and innovation projects directly funded by the industry or sometimes also funded by the EU or by the Swiss Innovation Agency. And we do also some training and support activities such as consulting. Just a few impressions from our early demo center that has now moved to the new building. Then when we develop projects, we can start actually from the ideation. So we do ideation workshops. We then often go into proof of concept, digital experiments, and can even support with building the prototype. But when it then comes to the industrialization, this is actually the part where we move out slowly and we let our partners take over. We try to exploit our partner network as much as possible to take over the industrialization parts, because this is something that from our point of view has to be done by the commercial partners. In terms of training, we do workshops in different areas that I have shown before. We have hands-on machine learning workshops that have been extremely successful over the past 2 years. And we have also a new training system for hands-on digital transformation training, where you can come in teams to play through in different rounds what it means to digitalize your manufacturing environment. And you can actually understand what digital technology actually can do and help. So it's a very interactive and engaging environment for training that we have just built up. Maybe our unique selling points, as I would see them, our infrastructure allows for test before invest. So the technology companies can come with the newest products and the newest services, integrate them in our demo lab, and also get early feedback from potential customers. End user partners can test the technology before they transfer it into the running production. So I think that's quite important, and it's so far not available here in Switzerland. We have, of course, a strong partner network with these 60 companies by now. We try to engage them whenever we see that their competence is needed somewhere. So this is a very actively managed network. So we are aware of the partner competences. We have portfolio management. And whenever we see there's the need for a certain competence, we look which partner can fulfill that. And last but not least, we have some sort of a supermarket of Industry 4.0 solutions, a supermarket of ideas. And to conclude, I would like to introduce to you our most important project in a little bit more detail. It's the Lighthouse project, Industry 4.0, that we started 2018. This is a demonstrator line that we are currently setting up. That should be up and running by the end of this year completely. And we are going to produce their drones in different variants and configurations. Hexacopter drones, quadrocopter drones. The client can configure the drone according to his preferences via an online configurator. This data is immediately sent into the ERP. The ERP is taking care then of the individual production. We have then 6-7 different workstations. They are partly automized or using advanced human machine technology to support the operator in the field. And in this way, we have an end-to-end Industry 4.0 scenario. Also, not only have the physical hardware required for the production, but also the IT systems in the background, the cloud system, for example, from Microsoft, the PLM system from Dassault and Siemens, the ERP system from different of our partners. So it's an ecosystem where all our partners can engage and show what they have to offer. And this is quite interesting and important for us. We call it Lighthouse Project because it's in the center of what we do. It's our central demonstrator. And as I mentioned already at the beginning, it creates a gravitation point. It creates attraction for the different companies to join us or to visit us and engage in projects with us. So around this Lighthouse projects, we have our competences, we have our network of the smart factory partners, and then we have a larger ecosystem, for example, taking into account the EU projects or even projects with partners outside of the EU. So to sum up, for sustainability, I think it's important to create a platform, an open platform for digital innovation adopters and technology providers. And it must be a neutral platform that acts as a facilitator for collaboration, that actively coordinates the collaboration between the partners. And on the other hand, you should charge these partners to create some sort of financial stability. And this is also your partner network that you can easily use whenever you need certain competences, or if you have a requirement to have a certain project partner, you have the close contacts to these networks, so you can choose the right partner in very short time. So this is very helpful for us. The other important best practice is the Lighthouse project that is kind of a supermarket of ideas, digitalization parkour. Here it's important to mention we have to be really physically available, we have to be tangible in order to sell digital innovation. And so far this has been also very successful for us, and it has attracted more and more partners joining the network and sustaining our network. It's a never-ending project, I would say. There's always extensions planned. There are always new topics coming up, such as Gaia X, circular economy, that will then be included in this project. But it's a kind of nucleus of our activities, and it's also the gravitation point for our network. So I also recommend you define your Lighthouse project for your Digital Innovation Hub. Around that, you have your ecosystem gravitating, and this was extremely successful for us so far. Now we're not at the end, of course. We still have to prove that we stay sustainable for longer. We have now no basic support from the federal government or the state government. We are largely independent. And if you want to join our journey, you can also follow us on the different social media channels. So we have a few technical videos on YouTube that might be interesting for you. And you can also join our LinkedIn channel, where you get constant updates about the activities in our Digital Innovation Hub. That's so far for introduction. And if you have more questions, then we can take that afterwards. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dominic. Thank you for this very interesting presentation, and congratulations for your new building, your new facilities.
Thank you.
Well, you have introduced a lot of concepts that I think are very, very interesting, like the shared production, the technology demonstrations, of course, the Lighthouse projects as the main point, probably, in which all this is built around afterwards in a practical manner. And then of course the collaboration is always behind all these concepts now. So we'd like to ask you, and considering also the time which we are, maybe we can start with the questions and answers. So we'd like to ask you first, and then maybe Jorge and Marie can add something on that. So for me, in my opinion, there are like four main aspects to be considered when talking about the sustainability of the DIH, which are the organizational structure. We've seen in your case, for example, all those logos of your partners, so it's a complex environment. Then we have the service offer, which must be in line with the partners, but also with the demand in the particular area or region. And then we have, of course, the cooperation with other DIHs. We've seen in your case projects, also in Japan, you were mentioning, etc. So as another aspect, and of course the financial aspect. So how to make this, because at the end of the day, what being sustainable is just being able to continue working tomorrow, no, more or less, I would say. So in your case, I'm talking maybe about the organizational structure. So how was the decision, or how did you decide to organize yourself in a certain way and not in a different way? I mean, was a complex agreement with the partners? I don't know, maybe you can just let us know your experience.
Yes, it's a very, very good question, and very, yeah, I can remember there was a lot of discussion back and forth. I came to Switzerland from the DFKI in Germany, and I was working for the Smart Factory Kaiserslautern, which is also a digital innovation hub, extremely successful, one of the first smart factories worldwide. I might call myself lucky that I have been there, and I've learned already a little bit how these type of inter-organizational collaboration can be managed. I have then been invited to come to Switzerland to build the Swiss Smart Factory, and this idea came originally from the local government and our CEO at the Switzerland Innovation Park near Kien. And they had a little bit of different idea. They said, you know, we want to engage large companies and we charge them quite a lot. Let them pay 100,000 per year or something. And I said, okay, look, we have nothing. We were starting at scratch, right? We have an empty shop floor. It's me and my colleague. We're 2 people only, and we have to get to know our ecosystem first. Let's start a little bit different. And I have then more or less, let's say, adopted the business model of the DIH in Kaiserslautern. So learning from one DIH to another DIH, this is a good example. And I said, we start with smaller funding, but we try to approach more partners. And that has been extremely successful. We had to sell the vision, first of all, because we really had nothing, right? And we started from 0 to 100 in 4 months. And we visited a lot of partners sharing the vision and asked, are you willing to do this? Are you willing to pay that and that amount? Are you willing to provide technology? And we got probably a handful of partners agreeing to us. Actually, I would say 80% of the partners we talked to. So we had a very good and very interested and environment here, because there was nothing such as the Smart Factory here in Switzerland at that point. And then we couldn't build on it. And it was a constant growing, and the success was clear, and more people and companies joined us then. And the business model, as we have decided at the beginning, with starting at smaller amount but addressing more companies, was in this case the better one. I don't want to say it doesn't work differently. You can maybe also build a smart factory hub, or you build a network where you have a few partners that pay more. But for us here, it's better to have more partners paying less.
Okay. No, very interesting. I don't know. Maybe Jorge, you can tell us about your experience, how this organizational structure, how you address this in your case in the Canary Islands.
Okay, you mean the definition of our organizational structure, right?
Yeah, exactly.
How we face that. Okay, I would say we, from the beginning of our operations, we started doing kind of a SWOT analysis of our innovation and digitalization ecosystem here in the Canaries, that although many people can think we're outermost region and it's not quite mature and developed, it's really the opposite to that. We found really high complexity. Okay, we started analyzing it from different perspectives. First one was the innovation and digitalization input, what we call input. Those are the different actors which are in the possession of the capacities and expertise, whatever it could be in relation to digital opportunities. And then we had the innovation demand, which normally comes from the SMEs, but not only the SMEs, also the public sector itself. And then we had a third component, let's say, which is related to the framework conditions facilitating or not those digitalization-oriented process and support. And we had kind of make a complex exercise in order to match those different and cross properly those different elements. And in the end of the day, what we identified is that one of the weakest points was that although we had, even though having good competence centers and expertise and technology providers and good framework conditions for the promotion of the digitalization in general way, what we really lacked, let's say, was the proper interaction, interaction among those different fields. And though that was one of the main fields we had to work more on in order to configure what was finally going to be our final structure that, as I mentioned in my presentation, initially was simple, let's say. We were basically composed with the regional government at the top of that, on top of that, providing kind of strategic support. In terms of operational partners, we only had initially like 5, 6, and now we have importantly increased that number of core partners. Not all the all relevant stakeholders can be part of our structure because otherwise it wouldn't be operational at all. Okay, we have, but we can say we have importantly increased the amount of core partners. We think, as we saw in one of the pictures I showed of our structure, and now we have around 15 core partners, and that was more or less the main difficulties that we found during the process of configuring that structure, which is key, is at the moment being key for our activities in the region.
Okay, thank you, Jorge. So yeah, I see that also that is also a very interesting point. Well, maybe Marie, you can let us know, of course, not as a DIH, but according to the experience in working with different DIHs. So what would you say that is how the different DIHs are deciding which of the different stakeholders and how they should be involved, like as Jorge was mentioning, like maybe as core partners, and how to decide which ones are, I don't know, more just external collaborators, or I don't know how to call them. I don't know, Marie, if there is any way of generalizing this situation. I don't know if this exists or if it's case by case.
That's a very difficult question. I think there is no right answer, and it really depends of the hubs, on its focus, and how it plans to work with the regional customer. I don't think there is one good practice, but yeah, different answers to this question.
But in any case, it's something that is a matter of discussion, let's say,
yes,
in the DIHs.
I can add, if you allow me, David.
Sure.
For us, it's more a matter of will and commitment to what a hub is thought to be, how it must operate, and the kind of activities and services which are expected to be provided. Because we have, for example, very good in terms of expertise and technical resources, good competence centers here in there, but if they are not committed to exploit, let's say, their expertise and knowledge, more focus on what are the real needs of companies, for us, that's a key factor that we cannot incorporate that in our structure. However, there are others which are maybe weaker in that sense, but they're really committed to really reach the real needs of companies and exploit the resources in a more business-oriented way, let's say.
anything else to add on this matter? If not, well, we are running out of time, but I think we can spend like two more minutes. From my point of view, of course, the financial issues, the estimations, and also considering the European, the call for European data innovation hubs, and let's say the rules or the indications that we are all receiving from the Commission in this sense are maybe affecting this 50% of funding plus additional funds, etc. So this is really a complex issue also for, let's say, a data innovation hub, which is an organization composed of organizations with different also objectives, etc. So I know this is an issue because we are working with DIHs in this matter in different countries in Europe. But well, I don't know, maybe you can just explain us a bit about how you are dealing with this. Dominique has already mentioned something, so you have a good base of partners contributing to the Data Innovation Hub. I don't know how this is in your case, Jorge. I don't know, maybe Dominique, if you can add something on this.
I mean, I can add maybe, you know, the partners, they cover, of course, a large part, but not everything. The partners are there to cover, let's say, the basic infrastructure and technician, secretary, and so on, and a little bit of workforce. But when a company wants to engage in a project with us, of course, we need funding for that concrete project. That comes then either from the company itself, or in Switzerland, we have a very good mechanism that innovation projects can be funded. At least the academic or innovation partner can be funded by the Swiss Innovation Agency. And this is also for us important then. Also, so to maintain our team, we are currently around 10 people, and to maintain the team, I would say 6 of our people are working fully on such innovation projects, either directly funded by the companies or funded by the Swiss Innovation Agency. I think the partner infrastructure can only provide us the basic running costs. And so if you want to build on top, and if you really want to do innovation, you need additional funding for innovation. Yeah.
Jorge, anything to add to this?
Not in my case. I totally agree with him. And say again, stress that funding is key. It's key, and you normally have to approach a kind of mixed approach of different kind of fundings, of not only private and public coming from the Commission, but you also need to raise additional funds from the regional government, which in our case is happening right now after some years of operation, because initially, as I mentioned, the support from the regional government was more on a strategic orientation or perspective, and now it's more oriented to providing some funds to execute concrete pilot projects.
Okay, so unless Marie, you want to add something on this? Nothing? Okay, so because we ran out of time, so I would like to thank you all for your presentations. I would like to thank to the Data Week organizers and all the team members behind all your presentations, probably, and also behind this organization. Thank you for your time, your effort, and your support preparing this session. I hope it has been useful and interesting for the attendees. And I would like to wish you a very nice day and continue enjoying the different sessions of the Data Week.